The Acolyte, episode 3.
Yes.
Pride Month, baby.
Yeah. Now,
that took you a second, didn't it?
Star Wars fans in quotation marks. I need to call out the people that seemingly are getting their feelings hurt because they've not realized that the Jedi actually aren't the good people that they thought they were, and they're suddenly getting butthurt that they're being portrayed as the bad guy. And it's widely like usually I know like your Twitter, you see a lot more of like the trolls and the haters and stuff, and I usually don't see much of that. But for some reason, this episode, they've just like sprouted out because it's like people that normally wouldn't even have. And I'm like, are you just oblivious to like who the Jedi are? That you now think, oh, Disney's ruining them, they're making them into these like people that they're not, and it's like, what?
It's become a buzzword, and I know we've said it before. Media literacy has never been so deep in the fucking bin.
It's like the Star Wars fans that were like fine with everything, but they for some reason, as soon as you start showing the Jedi as like maybe they're the bad guy, they're like, no, that's not possible. These are the people that I've like always wanted to be for years. Don't make me seem like I now want to be some creep.
Here's the problem, right? The Jedi as an order are not inherently bad or inherently good because a group of people cannot be inherently bad or inherently good. It's individuals that are good and bad.
Yeah.
Therefore, when it is small, you can make sure it's just good individuals. Once the Jedi Order is at the peak of its numbers and they're training all these kids to be very powerful beings, some of them are not going to be good. And therefore, if you're not good at weeding them out, they will be there. I don't know, like the fucking police force.
Well, and it's also the thing of like, suddenly they're realizing that maybe some of the things the Jedi did, like picking up kids and controlling the ability to be the only ones to allow to like have a right to test these kids, is maybe this is not a normal thing. Maybe this is a bit weird and a bit creepy.
Yeah. Like, how are they allowed to rock up on a planet that, as they said, is not under the Republic and just go, we're taking this child for testing? Yeah. And yeah, they went with your permission, but that was more them going, we can either fight you and take them for testing, or you can willingly let them be tested. And if they pass the test, we take them. You're stealing children.
It's funny because it's like people pointed out, oh, it's kind of like in the trilogy, it's like, oh, the fact that they just take like Luke off his planet and he's like goes and becomes, and it's like, oh, they force these kids to become Jedi and then fight in a war. But they're kind of like, oh, yeah, it's kind of war. Like, they're protecting them from the Sith because they're about. This is meant to be like High Republic. There's no Sith about, and it's like it's like the fans are suddenly realizing, wait, that's not actually a good. That's maybe the Jedi were overstepping.
And that's the thing. It's not that the Jedi are bad. They were just overstepping.
Yeah,
constantly.
They're just. Yeah.
Separate. We need to separate church and state, even in make-believe worlds, because when the biggest religion has too much power on how politics are done, shit goes wrong every time.
But from our point of view, I really enjoyed this episode.
Such a good episode. I know we're in a big disagreement over the big point at the end of it.
I think I'm going to be able to sway you because I've noticed, I've gone back, I've deep dived this episode because I was intrigued, and I think I have things that I've noticed that might help sway you to my point.
Yes, me, famously swayable. Let's do this.
If anyone can do it, it's me.
Let's just catch people up in case they watch reviews of stuff they haven't seen.
Spoiler.
We've gone back to Osha and May's childhood. We see what's going on. We realise that Osha enjoys being a twin. She likes feeling like her and her sister are one and the same, whereas, May enjoys being a twin and enjoys being one and the same. Osha doesn't like being a twin. Complete side note, I found it very weird they didn't use actual twins. Or they didn't use identical twins.
Yeah,
I found that weird. I found it noticeable. I found it... Like, don't get me wrong, it actually doesn't matter. They should just get the best young actresses. and it's not like they look so dissimilar, but
No,
it was very noticeable.
I
Like,
think
it felt weird.
it's tough because obviously there's a limited pool of child twin. Like, there's not going to
I
be like it's going to be hard to find that. So
I can imagine there is a very small pool of twin black girls in the right age range who are actresses, yes. But I do feel, and maybe
I
it's me
think they
being
did
a
a
bit
good enough
negative.
job.
No, but here's my concern. I worry that they were just kind of like the majority of Star Wars fans are white. They won't notice. That's my concern. I don't obviously I don't know if
Maybe.
that is what happened, but that's my concern. My concern is they kind of went and they won't notice.
I think it's also just what's generally done as well sometimes in that situation.
I'm surprised we haven't seen complaints about it on Twitter. In all fairness,
But yeah, they're back on their home planet,
yes.
which we meet their mother and this covenant. Now, this is not the Witches of Dathomir. This is not
No,
the
it
Night
isn't.
Sisters.
They are other witches.
Like many people, got the same vibes. The showrunner, she has confirmed that they are not Witches of Dathomir. It kind of, they are influenced by them, or that she took influence from them and influence from some the Path of the Open Hand, which I mentioned in like the preview to Acolyte a few episodes back, which was like this group of people that in the books are mentioned, and they kind of have the attitude of no one should be using the Force as a weapon or power. It's meant to just be like meditated on and not actually used as a, I don't know, a tool or like however the like no one has the right to actually wield the Force. So it's kind of pulled from both of them. It also, you got to think in this period of time, it's the golden age of the Jedi. Lots of people know about the Force. You also have to look at this like religion. There is many religions that all tell the same story but are different flavors. It would make sense that in that time you have the Jedi, you have the Sith, you have the Witches of Dathomir, you had those mountain folk that we saw in Tales of the Empire. You have these other witches. They're all on about the same thing, which is the Force, the thread, whatever you want to call it. It's just they have their own little ways of worshipping it, interpreting
it's the exact
it.
same what we see. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are all rooted in the
Yes.
exact same thing. Islam reveres Jesus as a prophet, just not the Son of God.
Yeah.
Judaism is the Old Testament of what Christians call the Bible. Like they're all the same. It's just different interpretations, and they've gone different ways.
Yep.
It makes complete sense that Star Wars would have a similar idea surrounding something that does absolutely 100% exist, like the Force.
And just like Christianity, trying to propose themselves as the one true religion, the Jedi, it would make sense they talk about the fact that they were exiled and went into hiding. It's almost like the Jedi might be going around shutting all these things down because they want to be the only one that is the true use of the Force.
They don't want the other kids who are Force users learning different stuff. They want to teach them.
They want to have full control of who can use the Force.
Exactly.
Bit of weird behavior, if you ask me. So I will say they gave me Sith energy vibes, which I think
I
is.
think you're just a misogynist.
What?
Women using the Force, they must be evil.
No. The whole mention of power of two, mirroring that rule of two.
I think it's the dyad thing.
I think there is
about last
that
week.
to it, but I think like the wording is very similar. Obviously, we had a female, I forget what that race is called with the horn or the spikes, like Darth Maul, that are from Dathomir. It's just obviously them being witches, and the terminology gives me more like Night Sisters and Sith side of like, which I have a theory about, which we'll get to later. But yeah, we see their little like temple in the mountains. We learn a lot more about these two twins. We learn that they were created from some weird sus way that the Jedi would not be happy about. Also gives me vibes of Sith energy.
Yeah.
And we also know that the mother created them, but her right hand side lady was the one that carried them, which I think has got everybody up in arms. We are Star Wars fans, but we're apparently homophobic.
Oh, the bit about that annoyed me even more than just the blatant homophobia was that people were like, oh, so they're just trying to make Anakin less special. It's like, what jumps are we making here? They're like, oh, Anakin was the chosen one because he didn't have a dad like Jesus. He was an immaculate conception. And now they're just trying to make it so that anyone can do that. And it's like, this is not even close to the same thing. And also, who gives a fuck?
Also, we don't actually know. Maybe it was an evil force that put Anakin. Like that was a thing that was kind of floated around for a while as a theory. But
let's be completely clear here.
The force is balance.
If you do not like the Acolyte, if you do not like what Disney have done with Star Wars, stop fucking watching it. I'm so sick of us like having to spend half of the time where we want to be excited and talk about the shows we're enjoying, talking about other people moaning about it.
Yeah.
Why are you still here? The same fuckers who complained about episode 1 and 2 last week. Why did you come back?
True.
Stay fucking gone.
True.
Have you ever watched the first episodes of a show, been so angry by them you felt a need to vent on the internet, and then gone back to watch the rest of the show?
Yeah, it's wild that they keep watching and keep paying
just
for
fuck off.
But yeah, so we get this like inner look, and the way that it's them talking about the Force, but just in their own terms.
Yeah,
like we've said, it's just their interpretation of it. They talk about it as being the thread, which we've actually heard the term thread used by the Jedi in the prequels and stuff. It's all about the same thing. And then we see this relationship of the twins being like, one's all about what they're meant to be, and the other one clearly has this urge of feeling to want to do more, which is Osha. They have their usual sibling bickering, is what I get from those vibes.
Yeah. It's just a lot more dangerous when you have the power of
and then we get, it's like some full moon-esque night, and it's like, time to indoctrinate these two kids.
Yeah, religion sucks.
Yeah. And the Jedi rock up. We thought this planet was uninhabited yet. Immediately called out on their bullshit, which I loved.
Yeah.
It was like, the Jedi are just oblivious to the things around them. Okay, we believe that.
and then outs himself even further a couple of things later. He was like, that child didn't have that mark earlier. Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? You said you didn't know anyone was here.
So obviously then they're like, we want to test them. At this point, only May had the little thing, like symbol put on her forehead. Osha didn't get her like ritual or whatever done. The kids argue.
Get a sick new tattoo.
Then they're like, the parents are just like, the kids can go fake it. The Jedi will leave us alone. It's fine. I mean, on paper, logical plan. Was never going to work.
No.
And they obviously agreed to do that. They go meet the Jedi the next day. Osha gets called out for lying, or caught out, because Sol keeps going, he knows what's going on, and he goes, correct, and then she goes, wait, that's not oh shit, I just doubted myself.
So funny. Such a good way of doing it. It's like, correct, and she's like, no, it was what?
Yeah. That's the same test that they did to Anakin in the prequels, and they did the blood thing to check for midichlorians.
Maybe that's why the Jedi failed, because in 100 years they didn't improve their methods. Yeah.
Oh, it's weird, that, isn't it? But there's like, they just rock up, clearly been sent to this planet. I think partly because they've obviously found out there was some kids or something there being trained. Also, probably to get rid of said current things. This is where then things go wrong that evening, and we'll get onto theories of what actually happened here.
Yeah.
So May comes into the room, tells Osha, "I'm not letting you go. I'm going to kill you."
Yeah. Very, very rational and well thought out response, I feel. Very, very smart.
Just remember that tone of how she was when she saw her sister, right? Obviously, then we see a clip of her picking a lamp off like a oil lamp off the wall or whatever. The next scene is we just see May and the door's already on fire. We don't see who started the fire. We presume. No,
we see her light the book on fire.
We see her light the book, but we don't like a book does not make a door just be engulfed in flames. Just because we see her light the book and then we don't see anything else, but we hear a smash and there's fire. Now, this is just a theory. Obviously, then everything we see of this situation is from Osha's POV.
Yeah.
Her escaping through a little hatch, showing a little mech neck abilities already starting to shine. Then she ends up on a bridge opposite May. Soul just is already there. Rapid time. The fire's only just started, mate. How are you there? Weird that the Jedi are already there. Also, then we get a clip of... I think it's at this point we see the clip of the room full of...
Yeah.
All the dead Covenant, all in one place. No rubble around. Just all on the floor. Very weird. May drops on the bridge. Obviously, we know she's alive. Doesn't show her body. Osha presumes she's dead.
Yeah, it's part of showing how Osha thought she could possibly be dead and how May could possibly think Osha was dead.
So, Soul saves Osha. Obviously hasn't worked out how to do the force catching yet.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, she wakes up on the ship. To note, things that I've noted, and like they say there was a fire, everyone's dead, we're already on the way to Coruscant. We then get a clip at the end of May at the tree, and this is where I think things are a bit weird. If May wanted to kill Osha and was intent on her not leaving, why did she get to the tree and then call out for May? Like she was like, worried.
Call out for Osha.
Osha, sorry.
It
was a very different tone.
Flippant.
Yes, but I'm going to recall your mind back to when the Jedi arrived. And Mother very strongly took over the control of the Padawan. Made his eyes go black over Torben. And could it be, this is where dark forces come back and play, was May Sith influenced by something? Someone messing with her mind, being like, so she didn't allow this to happen. Sith like to cause chaos. Also to point out on the ship, or this whole point with Osha, we didn't see Kalnaka.
Yeah.
Except at the ship.
We
didn't even see him when May woke up. You probably won't. I've gone back and I've seen this clip, the trailer again. I've rewatched the trailer because there's a clip that I saw someone point out, so I went to check. There's a clip in the trailer, Kalnaka jumping.
Attacking
Torben. Torben doesn't have a scar when they first get there, and on the ship behind Sol when Osha wakes up, he's got you can see there's a mark. I think more shit went down that we didn't see. I think Mother, something happened. I think what we're going to get shown is Kalnaka gets mind controlled and attacks Torben. I think then the Jedi fight them. And the Jedi caused more of the chaos and ended up killing them and covering that up.
See, the way the bodies were arranged in we'll call it the prayer room when we see them all there, is not a fight.
No.
That is, we've all sat down and we've done something together. That's why I instantly went, that's mass suicide. Because if you look at that, and like it sounds really morbid, but you see pictures that have gone viral of places like Jonestown and stuff, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That is what that is more reminiscent of than, oh, the Jedi tried to slaughter Force users. Because that's not what that looks like.
Mm.
I will concede that the mother with the horns is fishy.
Yep.
And some people do think she might have been involved in what went down. I can also agree that maybe she mind controlled Thorbin and Kalnaka was dealing with him.
Mm.
And that's where he gets the scar from. And Thorbin obviously was blacked out, doesn't remember anything. And that's why he felt so guilty. Because she could have changed his memories or whatever and made him think he did something wrong. I don't think the writers will have gone so far off the reservation that they've made it so the Jedi slaughtered a bunch of women. I can see them turning up and covering up someone orchestrating a mass suicide or poisoning a bunch of people.
Yeah, I think the mass slaughter might be a bit of a stretch. I do think more is at play.
Absolutely.
I don't think Thorbin was the one that attacked the others, because I think Thorbin felt guilty because they essentially caused that to happen by going there and trying to take these children. So I think he was young and he feels guilty for what they set in motion. Also, why would Kalnaka have retreated to the forest to live alone if it wasn't because maybe he got mind control and now he doesn't feel like he is, like, if he can just be taken over, he wants to go isolate himself because he doesn't trust himself anymore.
Yeah.
There's clearly some shit happened with the Jedi because we didn't see all that stuff, and I think they're doing this on purpose. I think we're going to get episodes where it shows a different perspective, and we're going to have to piece together which is the actual legit thing that happened.
Well, that's the other important thing to note. The first two episodes were the two words on opposite sides of the coin for the first two titles, and we got an equal amount of Osha and May. This one only had a one-word title, and we only got Osha's point of view.
Something I've just thought, going back to, you said, well, we see May like the book. That's because Osha presumed, like, that's just something Osha's presumed.
There is some unreliable narrator stuff going on for sure.
There is definitely some, like, we're gonna have to piece this together over a few episodes.
Yeah, I think in 2 or 3 weeks' time we're gonna get the other side of the story from May's point of view. I don't think we get it this week coming. I think it's a few weeks. I think they make us wait.
I think we might get May's point of view after the fact of, like, and it doesn't really show how, like, what she remembers. And then I think we also get the Jedi, or we get the Jedi's point of view, then we get the actual point of view or something.
Maybe.
I just think it's all very suspicious. Now, with my Sith theory, okay, we know there's a Sith apprentice, or there's a Sith guy trying to get an apprentice.
Yeah.
We don't know how long he's been about.
Nope.
Could
he could be older than you.
True. We don't know if these witches clearly were trying to escape and hide. What if they stumbled upon someone who offered them some help to hide and have, like, security? Maybe a Sith influence person who taught them how to create life, because they want them to create a Force Dryad, because that theory is floating around.
Yeah.
What if this is that Sith guy? Hence the whole power of two, rule of two. Also, there's, like, if you think to Mando when Grogu goes to that, like, Jedi like strong planet where he goes to that little temple thing on top of the hill and he's meditating, could be that this planet's Sith strong, like it's an old temple. Maybe it's an old Sith temple, hence why they're able to draw power there.
Yeah, no, I see that.
Just because of the whole, we like to see balance across all the Star Wars stuff. It's just
Yeah, I see that.
I think there's some fishy stuff going on with obviously how these twins were created that I think is going to be, because we know this is the downfall of the Jedi, so I feel like there's going to be some Sith influence in places that we don't realize that was weaving threads to start the downfall of the Jedi.
I completely agree.
But I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed the mysticism and all the, and I'm enjoying the way they're telling this story, like the mystery side of it.
I enjoy not feeling like I know everything about the Star Wars universe.
Yes,
I like feeling like and I don't feel a need to know exactly what the witches believed in.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like, okay,
like,
cool. They're a splinter group that have their own belief system. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't need to know more than that. It just gives a bit of
my thing was just like
thickness to the universe.
Yeah, I see them. I'm like, oh, they give me Witches of Dathomir vibes. I look it up. They're not. They're just something of their own. I'm like, okay, cool. They just have their own belief in the Force. That's as much as it needs to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, very excited for the next episode.